All right, welcome to Custom Creator. I am Danny Lee, OGT. That is OGL over there. We are going to do um, a video that's near and dear to our hearts in many ways, being huge Pink Floyd fans, for one, being advocates of mental health, for another, and trying to figure out the one dark link I know of between psychedelics and or health, period, being schizophrenia with psychedelics. And it seems to be a very dangerous, potent combination that there is no coming back from. Um, as I've took psychedelics many times in my life, this is one thing that I do not disagree with that is bad because I've heard too many cases and seen a few myself where people, this is where the whole saying of bad trip comes from. Bad trip goes away the next day. This is a mental breakdown, which is um, well, amplified by psychedelics and sometimes um, brought out from underneath the proverbial stone.
Yeah, so Pink Floyd is one of the most well-known, most respected bands in music, but Sid himself is a pretty enigmatic figure. Uh, there's really not a whole lot of interviews or recordings of him speaking available. So Danny was actually able to find one. That's pretty rare, and I sort of want to take a glimpse and see inside his head a little bit, see what makes him tick, because it's one of those things where you don't know what would have happened had Sid remained the front man of Pink Floyd. You know how their career would have changed because their music with him was significantly different than without. So this it's an interesting little video here that we're going to react to, and just it'll sort of designed to make you think and maybe understand Sid, and by proxy understand Pink Floyd a little bit better.
And hopefully maybe understand Roger Waters a little better.
Yeah, good luck on that.
not, not sure that's possible. We love you, Roger. You're a fairly odd guy. Um, this also will probably lead into us doing our first Pink Floyd reaction with Sid. I have never actually heard a Pink Floyd song with Sid as the vocalist, so I didn't really realize that till the last few months. So, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
This one's called, well, I suppose it's called Rats at the moment. I don't know, dig the animals. It's irrelevant, there's animals. My own fetish.
Rat, take one.
Right. Is it on? The light, I mean. Got it hit down, spot knock inside a spider.
One down, this is take one.
Wind and dine. I'll start again. I'll do it on top, right?
Two.
Wind and dine. Oh, it seemed just like a dream. so kind, kind of love I'd never seen. And whatever, that's
So, OGL, what do you think before I say anything? I'm gonna maybe way off.
So right off the bat, just because of the editing, it's obvious that this is sort of a recording session. Or it could just be a rehearsal, but obviously he's working on musical ideas. Um, he was, yeah, obviously he's a solid musician, has a decent sense of melody. So again, it does make you wonder what could have been. It seems, and this could be attributable to a number of things, but it does seem like his train of thought has a tendency to disconnect a bit. Like he's either, it could just be being a musician, he's not satisfied with a take and very quickly wants to correct it. But it does seem like there is a for lack of a better term, sort of a chaotic energy about him, where it's I'm going to strum a little bit and start that, and then okay, that doesn't work, I'll try it again. Even in the beginning, where he was sort of talking about rats, it's like it's hard to tell if he is just sort of like a soft-spoken, introverted fellow, or if he was just sort of having difficulty stringing a sentence together. It's I don't like I said it at this early stage of the video. I don't want to judge him so far, but it does sort of seem like he's very withdrawn into himself, and that like a lot of musicians can be that way. This seems fairly extreme, but as I said, just the way it sort of cuts off and the way the edits are done, that could be making it seem more significant than it is, at least at this point.
Well, the video is Syd Barrett talking, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're just cutting the music out. And but yes, the way he's seems discombobulated in, like he asked, was that light on?
Hmm.
I'm not sure. Again, we can't see it, but it would be pretty hard not to know if a light was on or not. I'm not sure if he meant is that light supposed to be on.
Right.
For all we know, there wasn't a light there. This could be part of the title to Shine on You, Crazy Diamond. All the glittering aspirations of talent that were lost within the light that he was lost in himself.
Yeah.
That's
The very thing that made him unique ended up sort of consuming him and sort of, I guess, ruling his life as opposed to just informing his art.
right, because I loved Roger Waters' interview on Joe Rogan talking about Sid and everything, and I don't know how much of that's true or how much it ain't. I do know Roger is, I will go on the record and say, full of shit when he said he didn't do any psychedelics. That is totally fabricated. They all did psychedelics many, many, many times. You can go back on record and hear Roger talking about it in his earlier days. So for him to come out now and say he didn't, it sounds like he was trying to imply that the band didn't really get high much. And if we're talking about pure psychedelics and just weed, maybe they didn't on the really addictive substances. But yeah, it's pretty clear that they were struggling with psychedelics and doing them maybe too much.
And I will say this: Roger can be a very coarse individual, be very judgmental. But it does really seem like when he talks about Sid, that's sort of when like a more empathic or compassionate side of him comes out. So I remember there was a bit where Sid just kind of wandered in while they were recording. I think it was Dark Side of the Moon, and like It took him a while to remember or to even be able to recognize him. And as soon as Roger did, he broke down in tears. So I think Roger does feel for him. It also seems like he's trying to maybe morally distance himself and be like, well, I never did psychedelics. Like, come on, Roger, we saw the wall. We know how this works.
Well, he literally says on Joe Rogan, we need acid 7-8 times a week. I mean, but you weren't doing psychedelics much.
Yeah.
First of all, anybody that knows psychedelics knows that you have to like quadruple up your dose to do it 4 times in a week. So if you're doing it every day, you're doing a lot of psychedelics.
Yeah.
That aside, that always haunts me. That the bit he's talking about when he walks in the studio and everybody doesn't know who he is, that always reminds me of the last time Blaine Staley cut an album when he come in the studio and people didn't know who he was. And it shocked them to see him in the state he was in. Totally different situation. That always relates back to that with me, as the shock value had to be somewhat similar.
And whatever, that's I think that was okay.
One of the first interviews the Pink Floyd gave was in Canada on CBC. There are precious few recordings of Syd Barrett talking about those early days.
And social setups are channeled into success or otherwise, and through schools and such like, and gets different things. And I think, and of course one comes across teachers and people like that, teaching and sort of instruction and to talk to. And they came, and I feel now that having left art school, that there are a lot of things that I could do. A lot of things I see now, a lot of things that went into my head, and thinking that these were perhaps changing and altering things. For instance, I made a painting the other day, and I see and hear very clearly sort of different instructions and different criticisms going into the picture, which were in fact criticisms that I could relate back to art schools and teachers and various things that had come at that time. So maybe this would be very valuable, this break. I don't know, and sort of to try painting again after a break and going into pop music and going to playing this sort of music. Just might work out that get more sort of basic freedom. I don't know. It's something to just things like shape of the paper, and there seem to be a lot of assumptions taking place.
When you say criticisms, you mean your own criticisms of your work? Is that what you meant, or did you mean outside other people?
Criticisms that yeah.
They were your own criticisms of your own work.
Yeah.
That were sort of put into you by teachers and so on.
They were what I was channeling into my own criticism. Yeah. They were what were governing what I was doing while it was happening.
Yeah, that's really sad to listen to. But very important, I think. Turn off light. So that is definitely the schizophrenia part. Him going back to, and can't sorry to get off the subject, not off subject, but it makes me think that the song, what is the correct title of the song? We Don't Need No Education.
Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2.
Yeah, right. So that almost makes me think that's could be, about Syd Barrett as well. It's literally about the kids getting scolded by their teachers in
It's
school.
basically being told that this is the way you have to do things, and then carrying that with them after they've left the confines of the school. That's sort of very limited um, artistic concept, I guess. It's a difference
And
between. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, and to take it a step further, uh, I've never really thought the kids falling in the meat grinder had a lot of substance, but when you think of it as like this, the video goes into once you have that break free and that artistic freedom where all the kids stare down the school, then all of a sudden their brain goes to mush. So that could be a huge reference to Syd Barrett.
Yeah, the idea of school basically is sort of sanding down all your rough edges, trying to remove anything that they don't think would be beneficial to society at large. Basically, not just putting you in a box, but also making you carry that box with you after you've left school. It really does seem like that's what Syd was trying to say here. Uh, this was actually kind of heartbreaking to listen to because I understood, I think, what he was trying to get at, but it was difficult for him to focus to the point where he
Articulate.
could to put a sentence together. It's like his mind kept drifting off into these different tangents and these different areas. And
And I'm gonna gather. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he wasn't on acid right then.
yeah,
These are lingering effects that. And by the way, acid is the only man-made psychedelic. I'm not taking up for them, but Timothy Leary is well known to have created LSD. Every other psychedelic known to man is just put here on the earth, except LSD. And from what I understand, LSD was a big part of what most of the crowd was taking in these days. We all have psychedelics in our bodies. It's the DMT in our pineal gland. This has been more or less proven. It's just that when we die, it evaporates so quickly it's hard to get. It's hard to get some of it, but it's pretty well known fact now that we all are carrying psychedelics. When you dream, that's what makes you dream is the psychedelic part of the dimethyltryptamine. So, but this is so sad. This is we'll just get back to it. It breaks my heart for Syd, his family, for Floyd, for the fans. Makes me want to listen to some music because it sounds so good. Some of that sounded really, really good.
yeah, really nice.
Do you ever get, I don't know, frightened by, I use this word because it applies to me, by the systems that, I mean, this, in a sense, I don't know, could be a better word, but this, in a sense, is, is a system when you realize that the criticisms that you're using have been put into you, sort of conditioned or whatever. But when you realize more and more what it is it controls, or the systems that, system upon system, and sort of working your way through one into another, does this really bother you? Or even frighten you? The feeling that you'll never be free, that you'll always be a prisoner. But maybe you don't have that feeling.
Yeah, I do.
Do you think you can be free if you can realize, get to a point where you realize, more and more and more systems, perhaps?
I think maybe
the realization sort of freeing one. Right?
yeah. Well, yes, in slowly in time, Well, it happened with this painting. I mean, having finished the picture, I got through.
Well, if I first may turn to Roger, I want to ask one fundamental question, of which our televiewers may not be quite aware the significance of it, because they didn't hear all of it. Why has it all got to be so terribly loud? For me, frankly, it's too loud. I just can't bear it. I happen to have grown up in the string quartet, which is a bit softer. So, why has it got to be so loud, so amplified?
Well, I don't guess it has to be, but I mean, that's the way we like it. And we didn't grow up with the string quartet, and I guess it could.
I'm so proud of you, Roger. What the hell are you? That's why is it loud? He said, we didn't grow up with a string quartet, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah.
As much as I rag on Roger Waters for being Roger Waters, sometimes I love Roger Waters for being Roger Waters. So.
Very astutely put. Yeah, that's... And people don't realize, like, heavy music has become so mainstream now. People don't realize it used to be just an amped up electric guitar, just a distorted electric guitar. Used to send certain, like, I guess the
Black Sabbath is not fast at all.
Yeah,
there's nothing fast about it, but that is the darkest sounding riff.
Yeah, but it's like if you do anything heavy, like back then, they would automatically assume, oh my God, this is terrible. What are you doing? Why is it so loud? And even like the Pink Floyd's heavier stuff, even though like they have dabbled in some pretty heavy things before, that's when you compare that to something like Sabbath or Zeppelin or even Deep Purple at their heaviest. Pink Floyd is certainly not like an ear bleeding band. So this guy being like, why has it got to be so loud? It's like, wow, that just shows you how far music has evolved. But that's those systems that they were talking about, just the people that feel that they control everything, that want to keep everything homogenized. It's like, why does it have to stand out? Why does it have to be unique? Why can't it be like everything else?
Am I wrong in saying a string quartet could be behind an opera singer?
Yeah.
Because opera singers are very loud. They don't even need microphones. They will fill up an entire building they can break glass, literally. So,
Stand next to an opera singer. Stand next to an opera singer and ask them to sing at full power, and then tell me that's not loud.
Yes, Elizabeth Jaroff will prove that in her little. Let's go back. So this must have been their first interview in Canada that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, if I first may turn to Roger, I want to ask one fundamental question, of which our televiewers may not be quite aware the significance of it, because they didn't hear all of it. Why has it all got to be so terribly loud? For me, frankly, it's too loud. I just can't bear it. I happen to have grown up in the string quartet, which is a bit softer. So, why has it got to be so loud, so amplified?
Well, I don't guess it has to be, but I mean, that's the way we like it. And we didn't grow up with a string quartet, and I guess that could be one of the reasons why it is loud. And it doesn't sound terribly loud to us.
It's actually not everybody who hasn't grown up in a string quartet turns into a loud pop group, so your reason is not altogether convincing. But I accept that you like it. What I'm saying is that if one gets immune to this kind of sound, one may find it difficult to appreciate softer types of sound. Syd, yes? No?
I don't think that's so.
No.
I mean, everybody listens. We don't need it very loud to be able to hear it, and some of it is very quiet, in fact.
Right.
Personally, I like quiet music just as much as loud music. We play in large halls and things where obviously volume is necessary. And when people dance, they like volume, comes in on its own. But
well, that's interesting. You see, when people dance, you did start, if I'm not mistaken, as a group which accompanied dancing. Is that it?
Yeah, you could say that.
And how did you turn into a concertizing group, if I may use the American term?
Well, we've only done 2 concerts, in fact, because the main scene with pop music, which I guess is what we are at the moment, is that you play gigs around ballrooms and dance halls and this sort of scene, because that's how it works at the moment. But we felt that there was no real reason, why we shouldn't do an organised concert in a large hall where people came and sat and actually listened to what we do, because dance halls, generally speaking, are not very good places to actually listen to the music. Most people come along, and the music, for most of them, has been, over the past few years anyway,
Did I hit something, or was that the end of it?
I don't know. We do not know.
That, let me look real quick.
Yeah.
That
Then
had to
we'll
be the
discuss
end of
what we heard, because
yeah, that was the end of it.
interesting. That was eye-opening for a number of different reasons, that last half of the interview. Just
Syd had all of his head right there. He told him off
See,
without having to tell him off.
that is another part of the aspect that's so heartbreaking about this, because you see how, again, the first part, how his sentences they were scattered, they were just sort of free floating, like he couldn't lock onto a thought. But this interviewer was so condescending, and I think that upset him to the point where all of a sudden, then he got focused. He's like, and he was very articulate. He was like, "Listen, it's not loud to us, but we do like loud music, and we also like soft music, and some of our music is soft, and sometimes you play in a big building where volume is necessary." Oh my!
And if I'm not mistaken, they were talking to Roger, and then when that question was asked, Syd jumped in.
Yeah.
Didn't even give Roger a chance and said,
"Yeah,
no, I don't think that's correct at all."
And just
that announcer was, and I didn't know Pink Floyd started as pop.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken,
how genres have
yeah. Again, from what I've heard, that there's a larger Beatles influence in the Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd. Okay, so I have heard one Pink Floyd song from the Syd Barrett era, but it was done by a different band. So this was a cover of Astronomy Domine. It was done by oddly enough, a Canadian band called Voivod, and it was crazy. So if that was indicative of what Pink Floyd sounded like with Syd, they were far more than just a pop group. But that was just sort of like one of the condescending establishment type people that was talking down to this band and basically saying, how dare you be unique? And you do have to wonder how things like that would affect someone whose psyche was as fragile as Syd's. Because like I said, he became very, very focused very quickly there. Like you said, he just jumped in and just told that guy, yeah. But I'm going to say this, I have no idea who this interviewer is, but I wonder if he watched Pink Floyd become one of the biggest bands ever and thought, might have missed the boat on that one. Might have missed the mark.
The thing is, and I only say this because they probably are the only band that compares to this in this way, but as Tool is, Pink Floyd is a in the moment type band. I mean, they literally had a Pink Floyd laser light show all of my life that you went inside in a big dome that was loud as hell to not express, to listen to their music, to appreciate it, to and I can't think of the right word, to my access. Anyway, yeah, to
experience,
to hear this. Yeah, there you go. It was an experience all in itself. So the irony is that they went on to be one of the greatest indoor experiences of any band that ever was or ever will be, to quote Bret Hart, I guess.
I love how you're constantly making these Bret Hart references when we're reacting to rock music. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't even think about Bret Hart. It's
bringing the worlds together, man.
Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
Yeah, but it does, just watching that does make me think. Syd's downfall was definitely tragic, and I think, perhaps an overuse of the wrong types of drugs or psychedelics was definitely a factor. I think obviously he was of a personality type that was kind of walking that, because a lot of creative types are like that. They're kind of walking that line that's, where madness is on one side and, brilliance is on the other. But I also think just the nature of the business, like condescending assholes like that interviewer, constantly trying to tell them that they're wrong for being unique. Just people in school constantly telling them that they're wrong because they're not doing things like everyone else. Just a general amount of fake people and ass kissers and the people that you put up with in that industry. No wonder he became withdrawn. If the outside world is that hostile, you can understand him tucking in a lot.
Yeah. That announcer being condescending and I can't think of the other word now. Criticizing them for the loud music may have been why it snapped Syd Barrett right into that conversation from the earlier abuse. I say here in the well, there are a lot of institutions that have led to mental health with me and brainwashing, and from pharmaceutical to political to religious to educational. There's a lot of systems that are just wrong, need to be updated, bad, or either rebuilt from the ground up, or either just practiced at home. So I think they cause a lot of people more pain than they do good. That's just my honest opinion. But mental health is real. So this is 31 minutes. If you would like to let us know what Pink Floyd song from the Syd Barrett age you would like us to check out, then we'll more willing and ready.
Yes, give us some suggestions. The ones that I thought of were Astronomy Domine and See Emily Play. But by all means, Pink Floyd fans, give us some suggestions there, because this is something that's really interesting to both of us. I'm also going to say that we can hope and we can pray and we can do everything we can to change the institutions, but the institutions are going to be they've been bought and paid for a long time. So the things that you can do is think for yourself, question authority, and be your own person. Be there for those that you love. That's all you can do.
Do your own research. Don't listen to what I say. Don't listen to what anybody says. Go to several different sources talking about the same thing. That way you're getting, even go to a source that's arguing the thing that you're trying to figure out is truth. And listen to them too, so that you get the full, there's the old saying, there's three sides to every story, his side, and what actually happened. And that way you're getting more of an objective view of the whole situation. So,
agreed.
Before you judge
100%.
anything. All right, thank you, OGL, and much love to Syd Barrett, rest in peace, and
100%.
Floyd, and anyone who has struggled with any kind of mental health, schizophrenia, or had their mind taken away from them through the mixing of LSD and schizophrenia. So, much love to you all.